Welcome, everybody. This is Daniel Diaz, your host of Sound Money Matters. And this is Representative Jordan Pace of South Carolina. As we mentioned on our Tuesday briefing, we were going to be interviewing him and discussing what happened with the Sound Money Act 2 years ago when we brought it to the Freedom Caucus in South Carolina, and what we're going to be doing next with the Constitutional Money Act, which we got passed in Missouri. But before we get into that, there's two questions that our late founder, Jim Forsyth, asked our new guest. And the first one is, why is sound money important?
So basically, the foundational issue for me is, with any fiat money system, inflation is built into into fiat money.
Yeah.
And they turn it a bad thing and try to make it a good thing, but you can't. So inflation historically is what destroys civilizations.
Yeah.
All the way back beyond the Roman Empire, the drachma or the solidus or whatever.
Yeah.
Those were actual gold and silver, and they debased them and it destroyed their civilization. So when you have paper money backed by nothing, and the official stats are like 4% inflation a year, but the reality is much higher than that.
Yeah.
It inevitably is destructive. So the more we can push back against that, the founders knew that. That's why they set it up in the Constitution to allow states to have gold, to accept gold and silver, bullion and coins. So the more we can push back against that fiat system, the better off the people of South Carolina would be, the better off people of the United States would be.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the fiat system, or even just the debasement of any currency, metal currency, from gold to copper or silver to whatever, iron. I mean, it's theft. It steals the economic energy of the people, and it enriches the government itself.
Yeah, and so that's more of a utilitarian side. On the moral side, like you said, it's theft. As a Christian, as a biblical minded person, the Bible has a lot to say about theft, yes, but also the government's responsibility to have equal weights and measures.
Yes.
Over and over again, there's like a series of things in Proverbs. This list of things are detestable to the Lord, and one of the things that the actual Hebrew word is like makes him vomit. Yeah. Is unequal weights and measures, which is what fiat money is.
It's unjust, and the Lord wants just weights and measures, 100%. So, we met. Actually, you met Jim Forsyth. We were at a golf tournament 2 years ago.
Johns Island, South Carolina.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, you didn't know he passed away. I talked to you about that yesterday. And, you were part of the Freedom Caucus. So tell the audience a little bit about your background, why you ran for office, and how did you join the Freedom Caucus, and what is going on there?
Yeah, well, there's a lot going on. I grew up in the upstate of South Carolina, in the upcountry. Moved to Charleston in 2007 to go to school. Weather was too good to leave. So got married to a girl who went to Charleston Southern. We met after I graduated. She's actually from the upstate as well, ironically, because God's got a sense of humor. And so we've been married for 10 years and got two kids, another one on the way. My kind of vocational background is pretty diverse, but I've been working in real estate for the better part of a decade, mostly in commercial real estate. Before that, I worked for Governor Mark Sanford in his second stint in Congress. Learned I don't want anything to do with the federal government, and wanted to focus on state level stuff and make a bigger impact.
Yeah.
So ran for state house against a Democrat in 2022, a self-avowed Democrat socialist. That's what she called herself. Ran around Bernie Sanders all over the state.
Yeah, I remember that.
She did not make it hard for me. and some stuff that she said. So I ended up beating her, flipped the district in Berkeley County, right outside of Charleston, and got the state house. Got the only Republican caucus meeting I've ever attended, I got a standing ovation for beating a Democrat, and then come back in January, we had some ongoing issues with the rules. Basically, they added some uniquely bad rule that year, that when I first got elected, and some other stuff to it. And a group of us said, well, we can't agree to this, and they basically said, you can't come back. And the majority leader physically blocked us from coming into the room from then on, and then went upstairs and lied to everybody and said we didn't come. It's been a lot of drama. It might be on its way to getting fixed one way or the other, I hope. But essentially what that's led to is, we have this Freedom Caucus, who are all Republicans and subscribe to the Republican platform of South Carolina. But more importantly, are principled conservatives in the vein of Mr. Republican Taft, Robert Taft, Senator Taft, guys like that, Goldwater, these
more libertarian,
liberty-minded, principled, courageous conservatives. They're going to stand up for what's right no matter what. And that's kind of our MO.
Like Ron Paul,
very much. I mean, and not eat up too much time with this, but I met Dr. Paul in 2007 as a college freshman in Columbia, South Carolina, and at a South Carolina student legislature. It's like a mock legislature. Schools across the state come together and do bills. It's actually held at the State House. Very cool experience. Well, Dr. Paul was the speaker at the kind of closing banquet. I never heard of the guy. Not really.
Oh, wow.
This is before he ran for president in '88. I wasn't born yet. But this is before he ran for president in 2008. And so he was up there talking, and I'm in the back, a little bit jaded, especially for an 18-year-old. And he's saying all this stuff. Yes, like all these things. Foreign intervention, adventurism, bad. Gold and silver money, good. Just resonating. So I ran it out in the lobby. I just introduced myself, said hello, and he talked to me for like 10 minutes about all this stuff in depth. Just some kid he'd never met. Fast forward to last summer, he spoke at the Young Americans for Liberty Summit in Orlando. I got to go and talk to him. So he came to the green room before he went and did a speech. Man, the guy was 89 years old, went and did a 25-minute speech, unassisted.
That's awesome.
While Joe Biden's getting lost around the White House lawn, and just crushed it. But I got to talk to him and tell him, look, you helped inspire me to do this. Is what I'm doing now. I'm chairman of the Freedom Caucus in South Carolina. That was really cool.
That's awesome
to kind of that journey to get where we're at. But
so when we were there, we noticed right away when we started lobbying, and you guys made it clear because we met with the Freedom Caucus 2 years ago to just brief you on the bill, that there is, you guys are the 30, how many members now of the Freedom Caucus? 30?
We don't release our exact numbers or exact membership. Very much like the Congressional Freedom Caucus has the same policy. So I'm the chairman. We got two vice chairs, April and Josiah, and then other people can identify themselves as they wish, but somewhere around 20.
Okay. And here's been my experience when I've been going across the country lobbying, is that there are state legislatures that are supermajority Republican that are, you'd be surprised. Well, not actually, you wouldn't be surprised. They're pretty corrupt because of they take lobbyist money or they're selling their not their vote, but they're selling their access. And if somebody, a corporation, gives you half of the funds you need to run for office, I mean, it's a high probability that that person in leadership is going to support that legislation. And if you don't, they don't give you the time of day. And
it's worse in South Carolina than that.
Oh, please share.
Our ethics laws, as such as they are often described as the Wild Wild West, but the Wild Wild West has nothing in reality on us. If a lobbyist principal in South Carolina, not the lobbyist, but even a lobbyist principal, could hire a state legislator, a sitting legislator, as a consultant and pay them directly. Not
what?
I mean, there are campaign limits. There's limits to the campaign contributions. They just hire legislators as consultants.
You're saying I could hire you to be my director of operations in South Carolina?
No, it can't be a retainer. So you can't put them on salary. But as a consultant, like, hey, Mr. Representative, how much we want to get this bill passed? We know you're an expert on this.
Here's a sitting legislature.
Yeah, here's $10,000 as a consulting fee to tell us like how you think we can best go about this or whatever.
How is that not illegal?
It's not.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that bad in South Carolina. Holy cow!
Now the big question, legality wise, is does that have to be reported, or how does that have to be reported? Because the way our statement of economic interests work is anybody who's running or elected to something or appointed to something has to put a statement of economic interest that shows where your income comes from, not how much, but like what are your income sources. Well, in theory, if hypothetically, if a company has hired your LLC, Mr. Legislator LLC, they can pay the LLC, and then under SEI, you don't put that company hired you. The company, they paid your LLC, and your LLC paid you, so you just list the LLC as your income and not big company X.
So how bad is it in South Carolina? Does all the leadership do this type of stuff?
No. South Carolina legislators are immune from FOIA laws, so you can't FOIA any communication from legislator. This was proven in court when Nikki Haley became governor. There was some questionable stuff between her and a large medical conglomerate in Lexington who she used to work for, and the Supreme Court said, it's legislatively protected, immune to FOIA.
Oh my gosh!
You have to get a criminal subpoena in order to get a hold of it. So I have no idea.
Wow. So we made an assessment 2 years ago on where we're going to put most of our funds. Last year it was Florida because we had a lot of traction the year before.
Yeah.
And we're like, South Carolina just seems too difficult because leadership isn't going to give any leeway on the Sound Money Act because of the Freedom Caucus. But there is a difference now.
Mm-hmm.
Gold and silver has skyrocketed.
Yes, it has.
And which means the dollar has tanked.
Yep.
What is your strategy for this upcoming session to leadership? Because look, for you guys that don't know about the dynamics, I mean, you have 20 or so plus or minus Freedom Caucus members. Then you have a supermajority of Republicans, and the Freedom Caucus is what percentage?
So there's 88 Republicans.
So a little less than a quarter.
Yeah.
So about a quarter of the legislature of the Republicans, which comprise of a supermajority, are real libertarian-minded legislators that want liberty-minded. I keep saying libertarian, but liberty-minded. Sure. But the main Republican caucus, they are rhinos. Now here's a history lesson that one Nathan Ballantyne, is he a rep?
Yeah, out of Columbia.
Yeah, so he was telling us about how in the prior to Reagan, South Carolina was all blue.
Yes.
And then when Reagan got elected, they became Republicans, or blue dog Democrats, and they eventually all became in the Republican Party. So the Republican Party in South Carolina has primarily been Democrat,
there's been a ongoing shift. So there are still some senators in the Senate, South Carolina Senate today, who were elected as Democrats in the 70s and 80s. They're still there.
Wow.
Now they flip parties. Some of them, most of them, haven't changed the way they vote.
Right.
But one of them in particular has a consistently lower rating on CPAC and like Club for Growth than many of the Democrats in the Senate. But the rest of the Republicans in the House aren't necessarily all right.
No, right.
But there are people in there who tend to vote more with the Democrats than do with us. And then there's some in the middle that just, they're not one or the other.
Right. I was getting more of a historical lesson of the state of the Republican caucus.
And they're on the gold and silver thing. Back in 2012, I think we had a supermajority, just barely maybe had a supermajority in the House, didn't have it in the Senate. The gold and silver bill passed in 2012 in the South Carolina House and the Senate. So
what happened?
It passed the House. They had a few changes, pretty good bill, allowed for taking gold and silver, as legal tender. I believe it allowed the treasurer to hold, metals under their purview. Passed the House. Some of the original sponsors of that bill are still in the House. Went to the Senate, did some things to it, still decent. Passed the Senate, went to conference committee, and it died in conference. Basically, the clock ran out on the 2-year session while it was still in conference. They couldn't figure out the differences, and it died.
Wow.
So back in 2012, it passed. It was that close to the finish line.
It typically takes something from leadership to push it over at that point, right?
Yeah, or tremendous amount of public pressure.
Right.
Or the price of gold and silver doubling,
like it
2
has,
years.
right?
Yeah.
So that's, I think, something that a strategy of yours. Yeah. You're gonna go back and you're gonna share with your colleagues, like, guys, if we would have passed this 2 years ago, whatever funds that the state put in, we'd be over 100% return.
Yes,
easy. So tell us what you're thinking. What are your strategy? Like, because obviously we're here to support you in any which way. We've launched our state chapter program, so we know several people. Actually, our national chairman lives in Columbia, South Carolina, and we have enough contacts in the state that where we can set up a state chapter, build a grassroots effort to help get the legislation through. What are you thinking? What's your strategy for getting the Constitutional Money Act through?
It's going to be fairly similar to what we're doing with the crypto stuff. So I introduced the crypto bill to allow our treasurer to invest part of his custodial holdings into crypto with some pretty reasonable, guidelines and safeguards. It's kind of the same idea. Look, a year and a half ago, everybody saw Bitcoin shoot through the roof, crack $100,000.
Yeah.
And it's still fiat. I mean, it's fiat, but it's just not.
It's a fiat derivative.
Yeah, it's fiat derivative. It's just not centrally controlled,
right,
which is better. So kind of the same approach, just objectively put the data in front of everybody and say, guys, look, here's, like you said, if we'd have done this 2 years ago, when we try to do it in the budget, as a proviso, it's a test, just kind of a pilot program. If we'd have done that then, here's what we'd have had.
Yeah,
I mean, more than double on just gold and silver, not including platinum or anything else we want to do. And just present it to them. Like, this is an option we can still do. And by the way, many of you there's a handful of people who are still here that were sponsors of this, and it was a bipartisan bill.
Yeah,
there's still a handful of Republicans and a couple of Democrats that are still in the House that sponsored that original bill in 2012.
Wow.
So it should be.
You guys don't have term limits.
No.
Oh my God.
We don't have term limits.
It's so much worse than I thought. It's good when you have good people, but it's bad when you have bad legislators.
There's at least one senator. There was a senator who just retired last cycle who'd been there for like 42 or 40 years. That's crazy.
Wow. So the Constitutional Money Act, do you think with what's happened? Well, here's one thing you can tell your colleagues also. Unlike Bitcoin, gold and silver is constitutional, and the state has the constitutional right and authority to declare it as legal tender and also hold it within its accounts and its treasury. So, what do you think it would take to get the majority, the regular Republican caucus, on board? Because I think when we were talking to the previous chair of the Freedom Caucus, who I think he ran for Congress, Adam, they were trying to get a member of the regular Republican caucus, who is a part of the Freedom Caucus, to also co-sponsor it.
Yeah, and that's part of it. Yeah, and we'll obviously talk with them. I'm going to talk with some of the Democrats. Like I said, there are still a couple older Democrats who sponsored that 2012 bill. Like, even they recognize, money devaluing is bad for their community. Yeah, especially when they represent rural communities who have people that are skeptical of banks and stuff still to this day from the last, from the 1930s. Yeah. So there is some crossover there. There's only 1 year left in this 2 year kind of cycle. But it is going to be the outside pressure. We're going to do our job inside the chamber, trying to get co-sponsors. It's going to be the outside pressure from groups, from individuals, yelling to their representative, hey, we want this to happen in South Carolina, just like they've done in Texas, like they've done in Utah, like they've done in
Florida,
Missouri, Florida, and like
Louisiana.
We don't want to be last again on a conservative issue. South Carolina has been to our great embarrassment, is famously last on all the slam dunk issues. And this shouldn't be one of those. Let's at least not be last.
Yeah.
When it comes to gold and silver.
Yeah, I that's what I've been told by several colleagues, that once North Carolina and Georgia or Tennessee passes something, then the whole competitive spirit starts. But they have to do it first. You guys are never the start of something.
Infuriating.
Yeah.
Well, we're the first in like giving away a bunch of money to trolling corporations. And, that kind of stuff. Yeah, we'll be first in that.
Okay.
Subsidizing electric vehicles, all that Green New Deal nonsense.
Okay.
Sadly.
So tell us about why you're here, Alec, and what drew you. You were saying there's not a lot of your colleagues here.
Yep.
But like me, you said you're kind of like a policy nerd.
Yeah, I'm amongst even my Freedom Caucus guys, the policy nerd, policy wonk.
Yeah.
I genuinely enjoy discussing this stuff, and for whatever reason, God has put that in my brain as better or worse. That's, some people like talking about football. Some people like talking about, mountain bike riding or whatever. This is what I enjoyed.
Policy.
Yeah.
So on our Tuesday broadcast, we shared from the nonprofit private sector viewpoint on why Alec is important. It's less formal than lobbying at a Capitol. You're basically bringing together the industry and the public sector. There's more private sector members than there are public sector, and then we also have receptions. It's just a better way to really get down to brass tacks on different issues. From your perspective as a public servant, what do you see as the benefits of coming to Alec?
You get that feedback, and you get that feedback with everybody's kind of make a sports analogy, with almost as if they're the NASCAR drivers wearing their sponsorship stuff, like kind of know where everybody's at. It's not, you don't have to guess, all right, is this lobbyist working for this group and this group, or this group and or this group? Everybody's kind of got their cards on the table. They got their hat on here, and we know what we're talking about. You can have better discussions, without any subterfuge or whatever. Confusion, and
there isn't the pressure like lobbyists are trying to pressure you to get the bill through. Right, it's more relaxed.
There's no vote coming up here. It's just discussion.
And that's what I found when I went to Alec for the first time this summer. We helped push the sound money model policy, which we are going to bring up for reconsideration because there's some things that we want to tweak on it. But it was great just to sit down with legislators, even from the different delegations from Florida and other states that we want to get sound money legislation passed. We're able to answer their questions. They're able to. It was a lot more collaborative. Than actually sitting down with 15 minutes to explain our bill and then answer any questions when you got like 10 other lobbyists that you need to meet with. So
it's a good environment. It's a pretty. I've never been to Fort Worth, been to Dallas enough. But it's a good spot to have it, and good to be amongst mostly like-minded folks that care about the same stuff that we do.
Nice. And what are some of the main policies that you're pushing in South Carolina?
So our roads are trash in South Carolina. We have hundreds of bridges that are well beyond their age, and many hundreds of them actually have weight restrictions on them. It's become a severe problem. So very much on our high on our list is setting the state, or beginning the fixes. I won't say fix this. This is not a do one thing in this process. The roads are fixed, but contributing to fixing that, and that doesn't mean raising taxes. So that's what I'm afraid. Because back in 2017, from 2014 to 2017, the last time roads really became the main topic of discussion, the solution from this Republican supermajority at the time was, we'll just raise taxes. It was the largest tax hike in state history, and the roads are still a problem. Wow. So despite raising billions of dollars just from that extra tax, the roads are still a problem because there's no accountability, and we have a priority problem, not a revenue problem. So I think that'll be a big issue. The affordability crisis in general.
Yeah.
So the roads is contributing to that, but affordability in general. South Carolina is a very, very fast growing state. My district in particular is going to double in size and population from the last census to 2020 to 2030. Housing prices have gone through the roof. Basically, it's all the things that government has stuck its hands into and made the cost go up dramatically. Education, healthcare, childcare, and housing. That, the things that government has tried to help, meddled in, has seen astronomically higher cost inflation than the rest of it. Everything has inflated because of fiat money, but those things in particular have gone up so much more.
And if all those things were priced, if homes were priced in gold and silver, it actually would have gone down because of the loss of purchasing power of the dollar.
Correct.
So if we were able to get the Constitutional Money Act passed and get the state to do a gold and silver reserve and accept gold and silver for the payment of taxes and debts, this is one thing that I was thinking about when I was in Missouri about the strategic reserve in gold and silver, is that every year, every state legislature increases their budget by 0.5%, 2%, 3%, 4%.
Oh, not South Carolina.
What do you guys?
It has gone up. In the last 9 years, our state budget has gone up 124%.
What?
Yeah.
How many years?
9. In the last 9 years, so the Henry McMaster administration,
well,
124% with about 9% population growth.
That's unbelievable. That's above even the inflation rate of Shadow Stats. Shadow Stats says the real inflation rate is between 9 and 11%. That's way over. So that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So taking that into account, let's say the states do keep up with real inflation and increase the budget. Well, if they just started taking gold and silver, they wouldn't need to increase their budget because the gold and silver would preserve the state's purchasing power and the taxpayers' purchasing power.
Correct.
So I mean, there's so many different aspects and ways that the Sound Money and Constitutional Money Act will benefit the people and government. It just makes sense. Like right now, we have 11 states that have done it. I think once we get to about 22 to 25 states, it's going to put enough pressure on the federal government to get rid of capital gains, and that's really the last piece of friction that we have in using gold and silver's money.
Which hopefully, I think this is the angle I kind of take with talking to mostly Republican constituents. That capital gains that was added on gold and silver was put on there by socialist FDR.
Yeah,
like that was a socialist policy from the international, commissar.
Yeah,
that you tax the gold and silver, you make it, you lean into the fiat in order to destroy the currency and to destroy capitalism. Yeah,
because they raised the price of the gold to $35. They're like, hey, you know what? Let's tax people that had the gold on that $35. Yep. It's theft. Yeah. The capital gains tax on gold and silver is they're basically taxing you on the loss of the purchasing power of the dollar. So they're stealing your wealth, and then they're taxing you on them stealing your wealth. Yeah. It really frustrates me.
Well, I'm optimistic. Hopefully this year will pass. It is an election year. That's the kind of other side. With it being an election year for the House, there's more incentive exactly to pass things that the people want.
What's worked with, so in every state, like in Florida, we had a 100% unanimous consent through all the committees, Democrat and Republican. We had Democrats in Texas, Democrats in Louisiana, all across the country. The main talking point that we were able to get, it resonates for right and left, is it's an economic justice issue.
Correct.
Right? And what I do when I testify is I talk about the people I've come across when I've been lobbying. In Missouri, I called an Uber driver, and there was a 78-year-old woman driving a brand new Escalade. Yeah. And I asked her, I'm like, ma'am, why? Can I ask how old you are? She told me she was 78. I'm like, why are you driving Uber? She's like, well, I'm a widow, and my husband's Social Security, my Social Security, and our pensions don't pay us enough to eat. I have to drive Uber to eat. If I don't, I have no money for food. And that's just one story of dozens of stories. In Florida, when we were lobbying earlier this year, I had a 94-year-old woman. She was listening to me talk about what we're doing in Florida. She passed me a note. I thought she was going to ask me a question. She's like, my name is Beth. I'm 94 years old, and I'm outliving my money. Please use me as an example next time you speak. Wow. And these are people who are on fixed incomes that don't understand why they can't survive. Yep. And we need to give people the choice to save their economic energy in something that is going to protect them from the theft of government. Correct. And the dollar is not going to do that. Yeah. So, all right. Well, Any last words you want to share with our audience?
Yeah, if folks want to kind of keep up with what the Freedom Caucus is doing, go to southcarolinafreedom.com. So southcarolinafreedom.com. If they want to keep up with me personally, jordanpace.com. That was really easy. That's got my website. Substacks are connected to both of those. We put out especially during the session, which starts in January, information about what's going on this week in the State House, what's coming up, what's happening, and yeah.
All right, excellent. Well, guys, as always, thank you for watching. If you want to support what we're doing at Citizens for Sound Money, go to citizenssoundmoney.org, citizens number 4 soundmoney.org. You can join and become a pioneer member. If you want to donate to our education foundation, soundmoneymovement.org, you can go ahead and give to that, as we are doing this type of content, going out and fighting to bring sound money legislation to your state and really around the world. We're an international organization. So everybody, thank you so much. Have a great weekend, and God bless you all.